This is the Tier 10 French Super Heavy, the AMX M4 MLE 54. Super Heavy and French don't really go well together. Normally, when you look at a vehicle like the AMX 50B, armor is not the first thing that you think of when you're looking at that vehicle. This, however, is a chonker of a heavy tank. It's heavy, it's quick, and it's got incredibly strong frontal armor. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about this Tier 10 collector. If it's worth it to drop your hard-earned money on this tank, which I'm already going to say right off the bat, do not gamble to try and get this vehicle. It would cost you over $200 US to get this tank guaranteed, and in my opinion, that is way too much to get this vehicle. $100 would have been stretching the limit, but 200, sheesh, yeah, that's way too much. But I'm still going to be doing a full down review if you did happen to get this vehicle either with a really lucky crate or you did end up dropping that $200. So we're going to start off with the armor profile because you're probably wondering, wait, what? French heavy, huh? Armor? Yeah, as you can see, it actually has very strong armor. This is an IS-4 using its standard ammunition at the front. The upper plate on this tank is over 300 millimeters thick. The edges are 300 as well, and the turret is incredibly strong, sitting at over 400 on the edges and 500 on the mantlet. That's right, even with heat, this turret is incredibly strong. Now, of course, if you are using heat, you do got to be careful, because that upper plate, sure, while it is over 330 thick, because of course heat doesn't have shell normalization, you still need to be very cautious. However, with the 8 degrees of gun depression this tank has, hull down, it is incredibly strong. The upper plate goes up to 420 millimeters thick. The edges of the turret, good luck getting through that, good luck getting through that. The only spots you can pen are literally like the tiniest crack, which is still ranging upwards of 300 millimeters thick. This is in fact one of the only tanks in Tier 10 that can effectively bounce a Hori in the turret. It's stronger than a Krongbong in the turret. So that is something that's great about this vehicle. But don't get a little bit misguided here, because it does have a lot of weak spots. First of all, the lower plate. Sure, while it is decently thick, you still got to be careful here. You can angle that lower plate, but it takes a lot of angling, and at that point, they can just pen your side armor. And speaking of side armor, it's very weak, 105 millimeters thick. Now, you're not going to have to worry about any 152 millimeters getting through the side of you, but Hesh-slinging tanks will definitely overmatch that side armor. But you're going to have to be a little bit more worried on the fact that you're just going to be penned basically every single time in the side of the tank. The turret is definitely a bit of a different story. Most 152 millimeter guns in Tier 10 carry about 92 or 94 millimeters of heat, or HE pen if you're running Cali, which means that, yeah, that turret goes bang, bang, bang. HE is going to be taking 960 effective off you if they do manage to connect those shots, and especially for the rear of the turret at 60 millimeters thick, and the rear of the hull as well at 60. It's a very easy tank to penetrate unless you're aiming at it frontally. So my advice for this vehicle is definitely make sure that you're only using the frontal armor. The side armor, it doesn't exist. And one thing I also forgot to put in here is the cupola, a very big and weak cupola at that. 145 thick. Basically, if this tank is not wiggling its turret back and forth, you're easily going to hit that. However, hull down, just keep in mind, you're not going to be able to see that. So this is a very strong tank, hull down. On flat ground, you can get bounces, as you can see from AP shells, but you got to be careful. Mediums, they're going to struggle to pen this, but heavies, not really so much. So that's one thing to definitely keep in mind. Now, talking about the statistics of this vehicle, it's got some very strong ones at that. For this vehicle carrying a 130 millimeter, basically the same caliber as an IS-7, it actually has quite an accurate gun at .344 dispersion and 4.4 seconds aiming time. That's pretty dang solid. The DPM on this tank, while it's not amazing, is pretty good as well at 2400. It's basically the same as an IS-4. So it's not a bad gun at all for what the alpha is at 480. That's a really chunky alpha. Your average rolls sometimes are just going to be sitting at 500 for you, and that's an incredibly deadly amount of damage. Now, the average penetration on the standard is pretty solid at 273, but you might be thinking, well, the premium's really bad. It's 326. However, that's not how it really works, because AP, just like the Hori, has shell normalization if, let's say we swap the tanks here and we put up against the IS-4. Well, with the premium AP ammo, you can see easily cuts through the upper plate of the IS-4. Even hull down, it can still basically penetrate the upper plate. Now, you might be wondering, well, how is that possible? Well, as you can see, it says the upper plate of the IS-4 is 276. And let's say we got off another IS-4 here that shoots heat, of course. Well, the IS-4 aiming at another IS-4's upper plate is 322, and hull down, it actually can't pen it at all. The reason for that being is because AP shells, when they hit armor, normalize 5 degrees, making it literally 5 degrees less armor. So when you're aiming at it an angle like this with heat, AP is actually aiming at an angle like this. It makes it much, much easier to penetrate angled armor. So because of that, AP is actually really good on this tank, and it's just about as much pen as actually any other super heavily penned vehicle like an IS-4 or an E5. The gun depression, as I said, is 8 degrees, and it's got 620 average HE damage. Man, I just absolutely love the gun on this vehicle. Now, it goes 45 in reverse with a fantastic power to weight of basically the same of any medium tank at almost 20. It goes reverse at 20 as well. It's incredibly quick. It's got a fantastic amount of horsepower. And as you'll notice, there's basically nothing I've said bad about the vehicle, and that's kind of true for the tank. But let's get into some gameplay here. It's been 5 minutes. I don't want to keep you guys, actually 6 minutes now. I don't want to keep you guys waiting. So yeah, let's see what the AMX has going for it. Well, one great thing is that while it is quite slow in the traverse speed, it does have a very, very quick turret traverse. And what that means is, as I showed you, the turret traverse is the biggest weakness of this tank. It's very easy to cut right through that turret on the sides if you just over-angle it the slightest of bits. So what I would suggest to do is be very careful with that turret. If you're aiming at, let's say, a 4005 and you know 183 is off to your side, don't make the stupid mistake of poking and knowing that that 183 is going to overmatch your turret. It's a very, very foolish mistake. But yeah, I'm going to be playing this tank, of course, hull down. As I did say, this tank is incredibly strong if you're using that gun depression. In fact, so strong that no tier 10 on their team is able to penetrate me at this current angle here. That's amazing, that's fantastic, but I still got to be careful because, of course, the sides of this tank are very, very easy to penetrate. So we've already gotten a pretty beefy shell out there at 456 damage, and we've blocked 400 ourselves. Basically, when I'm using this thing hull down, I'm not worried at all about being penned. And there you go, another nice shot out, 926 damage there. I don't know what that 4005 was expecting, typing that in the chat, because he wasn't ever going to pen me hull down either way at that. Now you can see the E50M was trying to hit me in the weak spot, which would be the cupola, but I'm not letting that happen. I'm being very cautious though. I know that 4005 is aiming at the side of my vehicle, and with him aiming at the side of me, I gotta be extremely careful making sure that I don't get penned in the side of the turret. As I said, that's the major weak spot. So right now, I'm just kind of enjoying the view, holding off, not really doing much. This is probably about the 4th game I've played in the tank today. And, well, there you go, another nice tap into that E50M. He lost a pretty sizable chunk of his hit point pool, and now is where I use that mobility. We're easily ranging upwards of 20, 30, and there you go, 41, 45, 47 kilometers per hour. Now, what's weird is that I actually didn't do that much damage on the ram there. I really expected to take off about 200, and then I was going to be able to finish him off in one shot, but thankfully, my teammate was off to the side, and because of that, I was easily able to finish off that E4. Thank you very much to my teammate in the STB. I was especially trying to make sure that that player in the E4 was taken out quickly, because he is a very, very competent player at that. So, yeah, wanted to make sure that that guy was not going to stand my rear the entire game. So, we're already sitting at 2,700 damage. And now, because we have positioned our tank in a spot like this, oh, baby, are we in an incredibly strong hull-down position. That turret, as I said, is basically impenetrable, so they're just not going to pen me in the current position I'm sitting at. The STB is getting some pretty nice shots into that T57 Heavy, and I'm aiming in on that 2 and 5B, but oh, just what a travesty. Doesn't hit him in the upper plate, and it actually hits on the engine deck. It's kind of ironic how the engine deck was red and the upper plate was not. Kind of weird engineering there from the British tank design, but I'm not going to complain because we're still doing pretty decent here. 3,700 damage now pulled out. The STB is pushing quite aggressive here. I'm going to give this STB credit. He actually helped me out big time. So thank you very, very much to Rata. I don't know how to pronounce the clan. You're an MPEZ, but thank you very much for the help this game. We're sitting at 3,900 damage now. And I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get a nice snap into the side of the E50M using that great turret traverse speed. And now we're going to push straight up this hill. You're going to see this is where that fantastic power to weight comes into play. We're easily already going 24 kilometers uphill. Nice snap into the side of the 268 on the move. And all that's left is the enemy FV4005. We're now on flat ground, and speed is key. I was thinking, okay, which way do I go? Do I go around or do I go straight? But it looks like he's right behind that wall, so we're just going to snap him. And there you go. Sorry for my voice kind of dying there. I need a sip of water in a bit. But there you go. The first game in the vehicle, 4,717 damage, and we blocked 1,150, knocking ourselves up 5 kills and pulling out a mastery badge. This is a fantastic game to show that it really can do some very, very strong things if you know how to play it correctly. So yeah, it is a very, very solid tank. But of course, let's load in the one more battle and see, well, maybe not load, but let's look at one more replay here. And I wanted to show this replay as well because it shows a bit more of the weaknesses of this tank. Sure, well, it is incredibly strong. I know that a lot of you guys like seeing live gameplay, and, well, I didn't actually realize this tank was coming into the stores today, and my Wi-Fi is absolutely atrocious. It took me 14 hours to upload today's video. Believe it or not, 14 hours. I'd use my phone hotspot. It was that bad. So, because of that, I figured, you know what, I'm just not going to bother doing live gameplay. It's going to take me 2,000 years to get actual good gameplay out. Pulled out my iPad, played on that, and that's how I was actually able to get this gameplay out because it was so atrocious playing on my computer. So, here we go. We're doing decent this game, and we're going to start off here. Yes, I'm doing decent as the game has just started off. That's Droodle's doing no clue what he's saying commentary. But here we go. We're going to try and get up this hill as quickly as possible. I was a little bit annoyed that K91 kind of scraped me at the beginning there because I wanted to get a shot so bad into a tank like that shared in that cross. And there's all that STB cross, so I was kind of annoyed there. But you can see, even going up this hill here, we're very quickly ranging upwards of 30 kilometers per hour, which is fantastic. That acceleration really does make this tank incredibly deadly, very deadly at that against mediums, because medium tanks don't really realize that this tank is so deadly until it starts chasing them down at 45 kilometers per hour. When you think about it, I go 5 less than a T62A, and believe it or not, I have about the same power to weight ratio as a T62A. Yeah, it's pretty insane when you think about it. And this STB, I don't really know what that guy was thinking, but basically he bounced us twice, and we've taken off over 1,000 total hit points from that guy already. So this game started off pretty dang well. We've used that mobility to conquer the hill, but as I said, that turret is very, very weak if you turn it to the side, and because of that, we've already been penned. This tank is massive, and because of that, there you go, another shot into the side of the turret. So now we've lost a pretty sizable chunk of hit points, in fact, over 1,000. I'm being very careful, trying to pen that cron in the roof, but no, just not connecting. And now with that waffle off to the side of me, I'm like, well, sheesh, what am I going to do this battle? Well, we got the cron in the front, who, again, tapped me right through that frontal armor. But hey, I'm going to aim in on that yo, and am I going to hit it? Boom! Nice tap for 484, sitting at 1,500 damage. But in the meantime, we've also lost about 1,500 hit points. So at this track, we're going to deal about 2,650 and die. But we're going to see. We're going to see how this game continues to play. So right now, I'm being very cautious. I don't really know what to do because they got that tank destroyer in the back. Thankfully, that waffle that did hit me in the side is dead, so that's why I was able to push once up again here. And boom, beautiful shot right into the upper plate of that yo. Now we're sitting at almost 2,000 damage. The great thing about alpha, and with this vehicle's alpha at that, is you don't need to worry too much about getting a lot of shells out. Only about 5 shells, and you're sitting very, very healthy on damage. There you go, 2,400 damage now. Beautiful tap into the M6 yo. So you can definitely see that this tank has some big weaknesses. I was very, very easily shot when I was stuck out in the open. And that's something you've got to be extremely careful of, is being out in the open. If the enemy has a clear view of you, let's say a Vickers light spots you out and, you know, the enemy team's just going to start shooting at you, you're basically done for. So if you expect this vehicle to just be able to win every battle and drive out in the open, you're definitely in the wrong. It's not a tank that's going to profit in driving out with pure stupidity. You are going to have to know what you're doing, and that's why I personally struggled on this tank a little bit when it started off, because in testing, you basically could drive this vehicle straight, all balls to the walls in front of the enemy. But after they nerfed it, its side armor became a little bit weaker, and same for the front. It's definitely a little bit trickier, but it's still a fantastic Tier 10 Heavy. And in my opinion, basically the best can do it all Tier 10 Heavy currently in World of Tanks Blitz. So all we got left is that waffle. We've already gotten one shield into him for 547. I love that HE Alpha. And there we go, another nice little love tap there. So we've taken almost 800 hit points off of this guy. The 268 misses his shot, and I'm like, yes, yes, give me more damage. And because of that, we're sitting at 4,280 damage now. 268's going to ram him. I'm going to give him a little bit of a love tap, and we do get killed, but honestly, at this point, I didn't really care. I knew I wasn't going to out-reload that 268, so I'll take that itty-bitty extra bit of ramming damage. So 4,342 damage in the second game. Both of the games are very good, and as you can see, the AMX it's pretty dang easy to do well in. It's a fantastic tier 10 heavy, but it's not fantastic for this price tag. No amount of money, at least $200, is not worth it. It's not going to pay for your happiness on this vehicle. Unless you're like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, do not drop $200 getting this vehicle. In my opinion, it's a waste of money, and the most I would ever suggest to do is one of the 3 crate bundle that's $10. Hopefully you enjoyed today's review. If you would like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.